what we're required to have before we can approve a new benefit. I want to make sure we have the right information in front of us. And I hear what you're saying, you gave it to them, but their documents seem to imply that they only calculated 10, not 20.
I can certainly understand your question. I mean, I don't know what the pleasure of the council is to do, but I mean, if you would want a secondary confirmation from the actuary, I mean, we could do so. I mean, I can see if possibly...
Well, you're telling us that it contains both.
Yeah, I can tell you that the data that was sent to the actuary for the report had all of the current members who are currently on the DC plan, all of their years of service, all of their payroll data, and then we asked the actuary to add 10 additional vacancies to the analysis. But I understand your question that you're not actually seeing that in the report. So I do understand what you're saying.
I'm going to ask a question. I'm not sure if you're the right person to answer, but would it be fair to say that our obligation is to only have the cost of an enhanced benefit for currently hired employees, and that while we may have interest in the cost of people to be hired later, it's not a necessary part of our legal requirement to have the cost of an additional benefit before voting on it? Current employees versus future employees.
Correct. And there is some accuracy to that statement. I mean, the acts that are related to the pension systems would require you to actually calculate an impact on the contribution on the current system. You can always do projections of what it would do with more people, less people, absolutely. Mm-hmm. But for the requirement under the Act, we would have to have the actual effect for current day. And that's why they used the most recent actuarial report and how that would affect that contribution level.
It seemed to me that that was probably the case. I just, we've been talking all year about what are we doing different to try and hire, and I believe we all believe that a pension is a piece of that plan. We've budgeted to bring on 10 guys, so it just made sense to me that we would consider the cost of 20, not 10, but it seems like maybe they did 10, so if I have what's legally required before me, I think we can vote. If you could follow up and see if they did 10 or 20, and if they only did 10, if you could have them do 20, just so we know what that future impact will be. And ultimately, we're talking about what increased contribution is necessary for bringing the plan back, which potentially could be a change to the millage rate under Public Act 345. So I just think we should all go into it with open eyes and know what that true cost impact would be. So I'm in favor of moving forward if we can get a confirmation in addition to our vote tonight.
You good with that?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Thank you, Shan. If not, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Item 6.21 is a motion to approve the tentative agreement between the City of Taylor and the Taylor Police Officers Labor Association.
Support.
Yeah, I have a motion by Councilman Johnson, supported by Councilwoman Croft. Is there any discussion?
Through the chair, do we have a police rep that can talk about, I guess, the contract and our ability to retain and recruit staff? Are they able to do that?
I think they, yeah, sure.
I mean, will this give us...
Are you talking about, like, will
this give us what we need to hopefully
okay.
keep our current?
Sure.
Obviously, people aren't clamoring to go into public safety and specifically police, so...
How you doing? Joseph Beveridge, union president for the Taylor Police Labor Association. I'm not sure if I can talk very specifics about the contract. Or,
yeah, I wouldn't go into details, but basically it's like, are you, do you believe that this contract can help us retain and bring in new? I think that, that's what we're kind of, if you could just add to that some of the good things to it.
I believe it will help.
Okay.
Compared to where we are at currently.
Okay.
Whether or not it's an end-all savior, I don't believe so. Mm-hmm. I believe we're still considerably behind.
Okay.
you know, we still have people actively leaving,
Okay.
and we're still having a hard time retaining people, or not necessarily retaining people, but getting people even to apply. I believe it's a step in the right direction because we were considerably behind. But I believe at this point that was the best offer that we could negotiate. I had asked if, you know, there's any consideration, you know, regarding a drop program because there was rumor that we had heard that was being expressed to fire department, and I was told specifically at the last meeting when we signed the tentative agreement that there was no negotiations with the fire department, there was no drop consideration. I'm being told otherwise at this point. So I believe we were deceived somewhat. I don't know if you have specific questions, you know, because I fear getting into specifics, you know,
Yeah, no,
I can't
I
discuss
appreciate
specifics
it.
of the contract.
Does anybody have any other questions?
I guess my only question, I don't know, I mean, Sheila might even be able to follow up later, but I'm just curious, the, like, turnover rate of, police officers, you know, and I guess, you know, current year and prior years, and to see if there's any, you know, is it relatively stable? And then also, then we can track with this, you know, if this passes, if this is an improvement in turnover.
I think either, you know, the chief might be able to help you on that one, if you don't know the specifics on that, I mean. if you-
Yeah, I don't
you
expect
have
someone
all,
to.
you know,
No, I can say back when I tested back in 2003, and I tested with 333 people in the sports box. That list lasted for 2 years, and once the list was established, I want to say, don't quote me 100%, but there's around 80 names on it. And then we went into a long hiring freeze, you know, shortly after that, you know, for several years. Now when we're getting applicants, we're getting, you know, 5, 10, 15, you know, our list will be 5 names. You know, it's a considerable difference. So, I don't know.
Yeah, our police administration is not involved in
No,
negotiations.
you can just talk about maybe
So-
turnover.
Right, yeah, I completely understand that. So I don't have any knowledge specifically about the contract. I did receive a screenshot today of about a half of one page of the contract, and it included some of the salary items. So it looked like the city made a substantial move to raise up the salary levels to make us competitive, especially for our corporal level, which is at 5 years. I would be honest with you, though, and will tell you that I am very concerned about the starting wage. That's a concern that I have. Unfortunately, we're all fighting for the same candidate pool, and police work is not an attractive job right now, so I'm always concerned about retention. I had an officer come in today, yesterday, and turn in a retirement letter. He's leaving. I have another one that's going to take off and go to DTE. Completely changed job fields. We can't do anything about that. The city of Taylor couldn't do anything about that. That might be police work in general. So we do have 2 officers that have turned in letters to retire in July. We have a couple other that are considering retiring as well. So very concerned about retention. Our numbers are down. We're down to 78 with those retirements. We could lose a potential of 9 by July. So our current list, we have 9 people that have turned in applications. That application pool is now closed. Of those 9, we have about 3 or 4 that are viable. The other ones were out of state, had no police experience, had no schooling for police work, so we are concerned about that as well. So, but again, without having the exact provisions of the contract, you guys may know more than I do. I can't really speak on that. So.
I appreciate it, both of you. And I just want to point out that I'm going to speak on behalf of myself, but I think I also speak on behalf of my colleagues and the vast majority of this residents. We appreciate what you guys do. And we understand that the obstacles that are going on in this country right now and the lack of police and fire candidates. So we're willing to look at things, but we also have to look at numbers. My thing is, I want a fair contract for you guys, and I want a fair contract for the residents. And I think, well, we'll vote on this one, but I'm happy with both. And that's, but, so, does anybody else have any questions?
Mr. Chair?
Councilman Bezura.
Not directed at the police department, but in general, in terms of looking at financial impact and whatnot. During the budget study sessions, we talked about possibly addressing costs that would impact the budget at the time we agree on things versus waiting 2 months or 6 months or 8 months. it would appear that, you know, the budget that we approved was pretty flat relative to revenues and expenditures, and this is going to greatly change that. And I'm just curious from a either human resources or administrative or financial perspective, when we're going to do a budget amendment to react to the financial impact of this contract should it be approved tonight.
I don't know who would answer that. Yeah, Jason would maybe. Are you okay answering that, Jason? I'm not sure. So it would basically be towards, you know, I don't mean to speak for you, but it would be closer towards the end probably because we'd have to wait to see what monies come in, correct?
Well, through the chair, again, budget process is the same no matter what situation we're working with. So as this council is aware, this particular cost is not in the current budget, but there's also other factors too that could evolve with that budget starting next fiscal year. So that being said, the administration, through my office and through the mayor's office, would probably submit a budget amendment for this cost. But we got one side of the budget amendment, which is the expense side, which is the easy side. The other side is what's the offset? Is it going to be revenue? Is it going to be a reduction in expense? Or is it going to be pulled from fund balance? So that decision is made through the mayor's office, through the budget amendment process. So just telling you what the process would be. And again, yes, typically when there is a known factor that is going to affect the budget that is significant, it will be brought at a certain point in time. So it won't be brought in, you know, December or January. It will be brought in, you know, as soon as we know what the effects are and the other side of that budget amendment will be. So,
Councilman Johnson?
And it could be a combination of all three.
it could be a combination of all three.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, thank you, Jason. If not, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Have two open business items tonight. Open business item 1 is a motion to approve an Easy Picker Golf Products, Inc. low bid to provide range pickers at Lakes of Taylor for an amount of $2,690, and this is funded through the Golf Operating Supplies account.
Motion.
Support.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilwoman Cross, supported by Councilwoman Witten. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. Motion carried. Open business number 2 is a motion to receive and file actuarial reports dated from April 29th, 2021 and May 3rd, 2021 as submitted by Foster & Foster regarding the Taylor Professional Firefighters Association Local 1252.